Yeah, it's always tough when you're making changes to a team that's won a test match, and obviously when the selection's made, it's there's going to be some players are going to be really disappointed, and some players some relief and some excitement as well. So we spoke long and hard about it. Did we go with the same team, the same 23? And we felt that if we were going to make any changes at all, it had to be 2 or 3 changes. And we've spoken about the bench and the impact of the bench last week, and keeping that in mind also. Just felt that with Marco coming in, he's been scrummaging well. There wasn't a lot of ball and play time last week in terms of minutes. Marco's been making a really good impact off the bench, and we think Rory can do the same thing for us as well. And Conor Murray comes in and his experience there, and Ali Price, as the game opens up, he's been really happy with the way he's been playing and his speed to the ball and moving the ball around. And then Chris Harris gets an opportunity in the midfield, and then we've made a couple of changes on the bench. We're bringing Tulupe Faletau in just to cover number 8 and give us some back up there, and then Elliot Daly drops down to the bench, and unfortunately Liam Williams misses out. So some really tough calls and some really real quality players missing out and making it difficult for us from a selection perspective. Yeah, everyone's been talking about the backlash on the Springboks, and they've come out and said that they were happy with their first half performance and need to kick on and do that for the full 80 minutes. And we're kind of the reverse. We're kind of thinking, we're allowing them to get in the game, and then we're having to play a little bit of catch up and against South Africa A and against and last week, strong second halves. The score was 19-5 in the second half in the weekend. So for us, the emphasis is on making sure that we start well. It's going to be an arm wrestle because we've seen how physical those first encounters are in those first 20 or 30 minutes, and we let ourselves down a little bit last week with some of our discipline, and I think 8 or 9 penalties in the first half and only 1 in the second half, and that made a significant difference. And then we dominated territory and possession. So we're kind of aware. We don't think there's going to be a lot of change in the way that they play. They may try and move the ball a bit more, but I think they'll just come harder and stronger at us in those areas. They obviously want to start well and try and build a lead and put pressure on us to play a bit of catch-up rugby.
Okay, Vinny, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. You okay?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Take it away.
Hi, Warren. Hope you're well.
Yeah, good, thank you.
3 changes, as we know. Just talk us through the factors that really swayed your decision in that respect.
Just about picking what we thought was the best team for this match. Again, some tight, tough calls, and lots of different choices that we could have gone with. We could have easily gone with the same 23 who won the first test match, but we've made a couple of changes because just felt that picking a team for the second test match and what we're expecting to come from South Africa.
Yeah, how close were you in terms of that consideration of sticking with a winning team?
Yeah, it was a discussion about that. It was kind of, the discussion was that if we're going to make any changes, you kind of don't make one, you might make 2 or 3 changes. And we did discuss, do we reward that 23 for winning the first test? And then we looked at a couple of individuals. We looked at ball and play time. We thought our bench was outstanding in terms of that impact, and so that was definitely a consideration with making a couple of changes, but also being aware of it's not just the 15, it's a 23.
Obviously, we can look at Chris Harris in the midfield and experience at international level, but a first test for the Lions and such a big occasion as well. What difference do you feel that he can make at centre?
Well, we're expecting him to be incredibly direct. We weren't disappointed with Elliot's game. his work rate off the ball was excellent. It was difficult for him to get into any attacking shape really. So and that those attacking options tended to come more in the second half. So they were very direct in the way that they attacked in terms of Dele Ande. So we're expecting more of the same and a ferocious kicking battle as well.
And for Conor Murray at scrum half, is that a case of just needing that extra bit of an experienced head that he brings?
No, just again he was good when he came on. It's going to be tight in that first 20 or 30 minutes. The way that South Africa tend to play, if we look at the two games, the A game and this game, is that they try and build a scoreboard. They try and get in front and then look to hold on. So that first 20, 30 minutes is pretty important for us. And then we've been happy with the way that we've finished, particularly in the second half in both those games, and felt strong. And potentially the game might open up in the tempo of the game, which is something that we think Ali can bring. Maybe in that second half, and same with the other players that are on the bench.
And with Dan Biggar being named in the starting lineup again, is it looking good for him? I mean, how confident are you in passing the return to play protocols?
Yeah, he's looking good at the moment. He's gone through all the, he's going through that process, and we've got an independent consultant who's looking at that as well. So so he's passed everything at the moment, and hopefully he's ready to go on Thursday.
Well, when you say that you expect your side to improve, what is the biggest improvement you're looking for in the second test?
Just starting a little bit better. So in the first test, we gave away a number of penalties in that first half. In the second half, we were much more disciplined. We were pleased with basically our control of the game. We only gave them 4 lineouts in the game. So obviously that discipline in the first half and was important, and we probably at times put ourselves under a bit of pressure by shifting the ball on occasions, being caught behind the gain line and allowing them to get some breakdown turnovers. So we just got to be really smart in terms of that management, and we were, like I said, I thought we were outstanding in that second half.
And now you go into the game on the brink of a first series victory over South Africa since 1997. How does that alter the mindset from that first test now?
Well, they're going to be desperate, aren't they? So they want to desperately stay in the series, and we've got a chance of winning the series on Saturday. And spoken to the players about that we've just got to make sure that we're mentally right, because you don't want to be using your get out of jail card, which is going to the third test. So you want to make the most of the opportunity that we've created in winning the first test, and hopefully trying to seal a series victory on Saturday.
Thanks, Warren.
Cheers.
Hi Tim, can I go next? Nick from Talk. Warren, 3 changes. Was the agreement on those quite easy? Were you tempted to make any more or less as you discussed it with your assistants?
Yeah, we had a good discussion around the front row, and the half-back, centres and the back 3. So look, it's one of those situations where you're making 2 or 3 changes where you feel those players will bring something to it, and then with other players in the squad, you want them to build on that first test performance, because you think the cohesion with the combinations and then playing that first game, that they'll get better as well. So it's just trying to get that balance between what we had achieved, not making too many changes, but and then just picking what we think is the best team that can do a job on Saturday.
With Chris Harris in and Conor Murray as well, those changes, Ali Price switching roles there, is that a little shift in the game plan? Is it now really about meeting that physicality first and perhaps speeding the game up later?
Yeah, that's kind of what we've been trying to do, really. So there's not a lot of space, and particularly in that first 20 or 30 minutes, and we saw how aggressive they were. Particularly, I think the first opportunity we had to attack when Elliot Daly's been hit in the contact. So they're going to be incredibly aggressive. They'll run hard, and so it's about staying in that arm wrestle. That's the message, because there isn't a lot of space and a lot of opportunities in that first 20 or 30 minutes, and particularly they don't play. They play very little rugby in their own half, so it's a territory battle as well. So we've got to make sure that kind of the messages of, if we're 6-all at 30 minutes or 9-6 ahead or something like that going into half time, then I think it puts us in a pretty good place. But we're 12-3 down, could have been 17-3 down like we were again in the A game, and then that's a much bigger challenge to come back from. So our focus is on us starting well and making sure that our game management's really good.
And in the forward pack, the Springboks conceded 11 penalties to the Lions 5. How fruitful do you think that area could be for you again?
Well, I think it's, if that was me, it'd be one area that I'd be really trying to tidy up. And we felt that as soon as we went through some multiple phases, they tended to concede a penalty. And so that's, something we'll look at, trying to play through phases, particularly in their half. And I think there was 6 on the bounce that they conceded. Like I said, our discipline was much better in that first half, but there's no doubt when you play a test match, you look at those sort of things in terms of where you need to improve, and I have no doubt that they will be targeting that area in terms of improving their discipline, particularly in that second half, as we did at half time about the penalties we gave away in the first half.
And just a couple more from me. Rassie Rasmus has denied he's been the man posting videos on Twitter to question officials' decisions. I mean, what do you make of all that? Do you see it as the cracks beginning to show in the Springbok camp? Oh,
no, I just think it's a bit of a separate sideshow, isn't it? So I haven't really taken much notice of it. The focus has been on ourselves and just letting that happen outside of our stuff. So we haven't really been looking at that sort of stuff. We've heard the stories, and I'm just trying to stay out of that stuff. I don't not on social media and things. So, like I said, I haven't really taken too much notice of it.
Well, finally, Warren, you've not lost a series on your 2 previous tours as head coach. Saturday has a chance to complete the set. Would it be your proudest achievement in rugby if you can pull it off?
It'd definitely be one of those things that be pretty memorable, in terms of being involved as head coach in those 3 tours of all the 3 Southern Hemisphere nations. It's incredibly tough to win a Lions series. I know we drew the last one, but to win the Lions series is tough because of the challenges. You're playing away from home, normally against one of the Southern Hemisphere teams that are. I think on 3 of those occasions, and the first time that it came to South Africa in 2009, I mean, last time was against the world champions, 2009 was against the world champions, and this time it's against the world champions. So, you tend to be playing one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the world, and that's a massive challenge. So, the whole thing is about how brilliant the Lions is, and trying to grow the brand as much as we can. And I think everyone wants Lions teams to be competitive and series to be tight, and that's why we get so excited about them.
Thank you.
Chris Jones. Okay, Chris, right, go Jamie Borthwick there.
Hi Warren, right, okay, I'll take this one. The Springboks going with a 6-2 split on the bench, is that something that you predicted? Is it something that you thought they would go with, and what does it say about the way that they're going to approach this?
Yeah, I think that they, it's traditionally what they have done in the past. They did that in the World Cup. We thought they might have done that last week. But, it's something that we'd spoken about before, and, we've had a 7-1 split on tour, so... so it wasn't. It's not going to change the way they're going to approach the game. They want to be physical up front, and they want to bring guys that are fresh and continue to try and take the game to us. So we need to be prepared for that. And I've been pleased, how we've handled that physicality, and I think we've brought our own physicality to the matches as well.
Is there a particular thinking behind bringing Totti Falatau onto the bench instead of an open side like Hamish Watson?
Just we thought about that sort of number 8 cover, and as the game loosens up a bit in terms of him a little bit in the wider channels and his footwork. I mean, he's had some good moments on tour, some big moments in terms of carrying and stuff, and we know how dangerous he can be with that regard. So we just felt that just having cover for Jack and with Tig as well, as the game opens up, that they might be able to have a significant impact.
Thanks, Warren. Good luck.
Cheers.
Hi, Warren. Sorry about that before. I just wondered how much confidence you've got as a squad by the fact you could go and match the box in some of the areas of their traditional strength on Saturday, especially in the second half at the scrum and mainly at the maul. Yeah,
that's something that we'd focused on right from the start about. That's where they're going to try and get dominance, and we need to be. We've worked incredibly hard in those areas to make sure that we've got at least parity, and we've had dominance in certain areas, and we've got stronger in those areas. So you take that away from them, and like I said, we only gave them 4 lineouts last week, so they didn't have a set piece to really launch from, which that they like to do. So yeah, from that point of view, been really pleased in those areas, and that's one area where they've tended to go to gain ascendancy, but also to get penalties. And we talk about the halfway battle and controlling it halfway, and we think we've been pretty good in that area. We need to tighten up a little bit in some of those aspects, but we've definitely pleased with how our set pieces performed, and we feel like we've continued to get better in that area.
And given these test matches can be won and lost on fine margins and preparation, have you given any thought to setting up a Twitter account between now and Saturday?
No, I don't even know how to get onto it to set up a Twitter account. So I think I'd end up getting too much abuse. So there's no point in me doing that.
Hi, Warren, how are things?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Could you just, you must have been delighted with the impact of your bench last weekend. Could you just talk a bit about kind of how that role has evolved over the years? I mean, so much talk nowadays of 6-2 splits and things like that. You mentioned there you hit 7-1 obviously at one point in the tour. But how has the role of the bench in general evolved over the years?
Yeah, I think it's kind of something, it's definitely a discussion now when you are picking a team. You're looking at the bench, and sometimes you've got 2 players and one of the players might be the best player, but he's also the biggest impact coming off the bench, and the other player is someone who can do a job for you to start, but might not have the same impact, and so you go with those decisions sometimes. And we had a run of a couple of years ago with Wales when we had of victories, and really that was as much about the impact that our bench had. And to give you an example, when Gareth Anscombe was playing, we were starting him at 10, and Dan Bigger was coming off the bench and doing a great job in terms of closing games down for us, and defensive being strong and putting us in the right areas. So yeah, definitely it's a massive part of the game now in terms of that impact that bench can have, and bringing energy or momentum or being able to change the game. It's not about, you definitely want guys who are going to have a positive influence when they come off the bench.
Hi, Warren. There were some calls for Tupi Falatau to start instead of Jack Conan. Why did you decide to go with Jack Conan again?
I just think he's kind of been unheralded a little bit, and some people sometimes look for the spectacular stuff, and it's not something I do. Is looking at all the things that he did well, and he doesn't make many mistakes. His carrying was excellent. His footwork was good, and he was very, very solid. He didn't miss any tackles. So I thought, as a loose forward trio, that trio can get better, and you're wanting to keep that combination. We think Toby can have an impact, and him coming off the bench. So, sometimes you make changes, but we were very pleased with the way that Jack played last weekend.
Hi Warren. Obviously, Liam Williams dropped out of the match day 23 from last weekend. How difficult a decision was that, given how important the aerial battle is in this Test series?
Yeah, it was a tough one. Both him and Hamish, it was a tough decision, and we did discuss whether we started Liam on the wing, and that was a debate, and we kind of felt he was more of. We considered him more of as a fullback decision, and Stuart Hogg was good last week. There was a significant aerial battle, and we looked at the things, and we came out slightly on top of that in terms of the crumbs that we got, but we're expecting a lot more, so it was a long discussion about that, but when we just talked about as well as probably the cover that Elliot gives us in terms of being able to cover 13 and the back three. That was a really tough call for Liam to miss out on the squad.
Hey Warren, how's it going? Just a question. Just looking at the squad, you've made your picks now, but the likes of Jamie George, Bundy, and Ian Henderson, kind of senior guys missing out, and guys who are big motivators as well. Kind of wondering what those kind of guys have been like around training, and especially the fact that they're going to miss out again. Have they been good for kind of keeping the other guys going?
Yeah, that's been. It's really tough on some of those players, because you think about a lot of them are used to being number one selections for their home nation. You come on a Lions tour and you're not making the 23, and I understand that and appreciate it. And that's the hardest part of the week, is when you're picking a test team and you're naming it, and you're going to have a number of guys are going to be incredibly happy to be selected, but then you're going to have a group that are going to be incredibly disappointed, and I expect that. So that's it's the hardest thing to deliver those messages, and it's a real challenge. But again, spoke to the group about that today, and say, look, we the guys that are starting, or the 23, that we've got to get ourselves mentally right. We've got to make sure that we're right there, because if we're 4 or 5% off mentally, then it's going to be a long day for us. And if we're mentally right, we've got a chance of winning the series. And if we're not, and we lose the second test, then you probably see a number of changes going to the third test. And if we do win the series as well, you'll probably see a number of changes for the third test. So, hopefully for those guys that have still missed out, there's a lot of motivation for them to stay focused and stay involved, because the tour's not over, and they potentially have a chance for the following week.
Thanks.
Warren, hi. You mentioned game time. You were pleased the other day when you said you only conceded 4 lineouts. How important is it, and how much are you focusing on keeping the ball moving, keeping the opposition moving, and eventually allowing your superior conditioning to tell?
That's a big part of it. I mean, if you limiting the number of lineouts the opposition can have, then you're trying to use the aspects or the areas where you think you've got some strengths, and obviously that for us, we feel like we've worked hard from a conditioning perspective. So I was a little bit surprised that they probably kicked out as much as they did, and I just wonder if that was a tactic of theirs to slow the game down to stay in it, or to try and put our line out under pressure for turnovers. So, and then it's about in the right areas of the field, is keeping the ball and playing through phases, and putting them under pressure, and moving their forward pack around. So it's not always easy, but like I said, we're pretty happy where we are from that aspect. We're happy that we've the second half we won 19-5, which was a good indication of where we are. Just we've got to make sure that we're better in the first half.
Hi Warren, Will here. A lot's been written and said about Mario Itoje after his great performance in the first test. From your experience of coaching for a number of years now, how do you kind of compare him to guys like Alan Wynne and Paul O'Connell, Simon Shaw, those great locks that have played for the Lions and your teams over the years?
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent performance. I made a joke on Monday that it was the first time in about 360 odd games that Mario Itoje hadn't given away a penalty. So I kind of think, and then I spoke to him last night as well, and said maybe the pennies finally dropped, because I thought his decision making around the game in terms of when he went for things, when he decided to leave things alone, I kind of found in the past that he's chased lost causes and gone after things and that he didn't need to do, and probably wasted a lot of energy. But I thought in Saturday's decision making about when to go after something, or counter ruck, or a breakdown, the line out stuff, I thought was actually outstanding. So to me, that's it's probably the best game I've seen him play in any sort of jersey. We all know that how the energy he brings to a game and how enthusiastic, and sometimes that's probably been to his detriment, because he has been guilty in the past of giving away penalties and probably pushing the limits. But I thought we saw an incredibly mature performance last weekend.
Thanks, Warren. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers, thank you.
Yeah, it's always tough when you're making changes to a team that's won a test match, and obviously when the selection's made, it's there's going to be some players are going to be really disappointed, and some players some relief and some excitement as well. So we spoke long and hard about it. Did we go with the same team, the same 23? And we felt that if we were going to make any changes at all, it had to be 2 or 3 changes. And we've spoken about the bench and the impact of the bench last week, and keeping that in mind also. Just felt that with Mako coming in, he's been scrummaging well. There wasn't a lot of ball and play time last week in terms of minutes. Marco's been making a really good impact off the bench, and we think Rory can do the same thing for us as well. And Conor Murray comes in and his experience there, and Ali Price, as the game opens up, he's been really happy with the way he's been playing and his speed to the ball and moving the ball around. And then Chris Harris gets an opportunity in the midfield, and then we've made a couple of changes on the bench. We're bringing Tulupe Faletau in just to cover number 8 and give us some back up there, and then Elliot Daly drops down to the bench, and unfortunately Liam Williams misses out. So some really tough calls and some really real quality players missing out and making it difficult for us from a selection perspective. Yeah, everyone's been talking about the backlash on the Springboks, and they've come out and said that they were happy with their first half performance and need to kick on and do that for the full 80 minutes. And we're kind of the reverse. We're kind of thinking, we're allowing them to get in the game, and then we're having to play a little bit of catch up, and against South Africa A and against and last week, strong second halves. The score was 19-5 in the second half in the weekend. So for us, the emphasis is on making sure that we start well. It's going to be an arm wrestle because we've seen how physical those first encounters are in those first 20 or 30 minutes, and we let ourselves down a little bit last week with some of our discipline, and I think 8 or 9 penalties in the first half and only 1 in the second half, and that made a significant difference. And then we dominated territory and possession. So we're kind of aware. We don't think there's going to be a lot of change in the way that they play. They may try and move the ball a bit more, but I think they'll just come harder and stronger at us in those areas. They obviously want to start well and try and build a lead and put pressure on us to play a bit of catch-up rugby. Yeah, it's always tough when you're making changes to a team that's won a test match, and obviously when the selection's made, it's there's going to be some players are going to be really disappointed, and some players some relief and some excitement as well. So we spoke long and hard about it. Did we go with the same team, the same 23? And we felt that if we were going to make any changes at all, it had to be 2 or 3 changes. And we've spoken about the bench and the impact of the bench last week, and keeping that in mind also. Just felt that with Mako coming in, he's been scrummaging well. There wasn't a lot of ball and play time last week in terms of minutes. Marcus has been making a really good impact off the bench, and we think Rory can do the same thing for us as well. And Conor Murray comes in and his experience there, and Ali Price, as the game opens up, he's been really happy with the way he's been playing and his speed to the ball and moving the ball around. And then Chris Harris gets an opportunity in the midfield, and then we've made a couple of changes on the bench. We're bringing Tulupe Faletau in just to cover number 8 and give us some back up there, and then Elliot Daly drops down to the bench, and unfortunately Liam Williams misses out. So some really tough calls and some really real quality players missing out and making it difficult for us from a selection perspective. Yeah, everyone's been talking about the backlash on the Springboks, and they've come out and said that they were happy with their first half performance and need to kick on and do that for the full 80 minutes. And we're kind of the reverse. We're kind of thinking, we're allowing them to get in the game, and then we're having to play a little bit of catch up, and against South Africa A and against and last week, strong second halves. The score was 19-5 in the second half in the weekend. So for us, the emphasis is on making sure that we start well. It's going to be an arm wrestle because we've seen how physical those first encounters are in those first 20 or 30 minutes, and we let ourselves down a little bit last week with some of our discipline, and I think 8 or 9 penalties in the first half and only 1 in the second half, and that made a significant difference. And then we dominated territory and possession. So we're kind of aware. We don't think there's going to be a lot of change in the way that they play. They may try and move the ball a bit more, but I think they'll just come harder and stronger at us in those areas. They obviously want to start well and try and build a lead and put pressure on us to play a bit of catch-up rugby. Yeah, it's always tough when you're making changes to a team that's won a test match, and obviously when the selection's made, it's there's going to be some players are going to be really disappointed, and some players some relief and some excitement as well. So we spoke long and hard about it. Did we go with the same team, the same 23? And we felt that if we were going to make any changes at all, it had to be 2 or 3 changes. And we've spoken about the bench and the impact of the bench last week, and keeping that in mind also. Just felt that with Mako coming in, he's been scrummaging well. There wasn't a lot of ball and play time last week in terms of minutes. Marcus has been making a really good impact off the bench, and we think Rory can do the same thing for us as well. And Conor Murray comes in and his experience.
Am I looking straight at this just?
Yeah, you can look straight here, but you'll see them just above. So
Okay,
the eye line's
so I'm
the same.
talking. I'm not.
Yeah, ignore that one. That one's there. Not
Yeah.
we're alive. So yeah.
Vinny, can you hear me? No one can hear us.
Hello.
Vinny, can you hear us, mate?
It's live.
Go, Vinny.
Vinny, can you hear us?
Recording in progress.
Not sure we can. Okay, tell you what, Nick. Nick Heath, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, well, kick us off then, mate. Thanks very much, and we'll just try and get Vinny back in after you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. I can hear you now.
Okay, all right, Vinny, kick us off, mate, then Nick.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Chris. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well.
Hi mate, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. First of all, congratulations on the start. I just wonder, how does it feel to be coming into the Lions Test debut in a match that could seal a first series win over South Africa since 1997?
Yeah, look, obviously I'm over the moon. I was a little bit taken back when my name was read out by Warren. So yeah, obviously I'm absolutely delighted, and it's a big challenge for me personally, but a big challenge for us as a team to go ahead and get 2 victories and get the win in the bag.
So before that announcement, did you have no inkling whatsoever? I mean, how did you rate your chances of getting the nod in the starting lineup?
I didn't really have an inkling. Obviously, when a team wins, you sort of think, oh well, probably go with a similar sort of team. There might be a couple of changes. We had training in the day. It was hard to sort of really tell if there was what the team would potentially be. So yeah, it was a surprise, a nice surprise, and obviously I was just really delighted.
So what pressure then do you feel coming into a winning team with so much on the line?
Pressure's a privilege, isn't it? It's an opportunity for me to go out there and really show what I'm about, and just sort of contribute my game to the team, and hopefully do that in a good way, and we can come away with another win.
And what conversations have you had with Warren in terms of what he's expecting from you?
To be honest, not too much of a conversation on a personal level, but look, it's clear what he wants out of us as a team, and what we have to expect from South Africa, and what we expect from ourselves. So we just got to go out there and deliver our game plan.
We've seen so much of the togetherness of the Lions squad. I just wonder, for those that are missing out, and notably, obviously, you're coming in for Elliot Daly. So how do those kind of players react in this situation? And what does even Elliot say to you once the team's been known?
Oh, look, I was actually sat next to him when the team was announced, and he stood up and he was the first to congratulate me. It was a similar thing for me last week when the team was named. I wasn't named in the squad at all, and I felt really deflated. So it's just part of professional sport. It's a part of this environment. Like, some boys are going to miss out, and it's all about how you react to it. But yeah, I congratulated Elliot last week, and he congratulated me this week, and that's just the way it is. And you've got to. It's all about how you react, as I say, and you just got to go out and train as hard as you can.
How important is that kind of reaction?
I think that's the best way to go about it. I think if you react the other way and you're a bit bitter and you sort of switch off, it's not best. It doesn't look good on you, and you're not sort of testing the team that have got to go out and play against South Africa. So you've just got to. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to take. I took that one last week, and you've just got to get over that and train to the best of your ability, and test the opposition, and show that you want to be in that starting jersey, or in that 23.
I suppose as well, there's a massive emphasis on maintaining focus, because whatever happens this weekend, there's a big opportunity in the third test as well, whether it's to seal a series win then, or whether even to finish it with a 3-0 series win.
Exactly that. Although last week it was one game, so my focus was was just to train as hard as I can and get into that second test. And it's similar. There's another test after this one. So there's, like, for me starting, I'm not necessarily going to start next week. So I need to perform well on the weekend. But those boys that aren't involved, they've just got to perform the best they can in training. And if you're on the bench, got to do a job off the bench to put yourself in a good position for selection the week after.
And Chris, as a group, how does the mindset differ now from the build-up to that first test? You've got that first win under your belt, and you know the magnitude of what can happen on Saturday, of getting that series win. So how does the mindset differ now?
Well, the mindset doesn't really change in some regards. We're going out there to win. We know that they're going to be a lot more hungry. That's what they'll be saying. They have to win. They'll be wanting to be that extra bit physical and all this. So look, we've got to match that and give a bit more. And we've got to turn up. We can't just rely on the fact that we've had one win and then think, oh, if we lose next week, there's still another chance the week after. I don't think that comes across well from a mindset perspective.
And an emphasis on a positive start and a disciplined start, which wasn't necessarily the case in the first test.
No, definitely. That sort of first 20, 30 minutes or whatever it was where we kind of gifted them, 12 points or something or whatever it was, yeah. That discipline across the whole game was actually really good, but if we can sort of take that away and reduce that to half of what we did, then we stand an even better chance of coming away with a victory.
Top man, good luck, Chris. Cheers.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Chris, Nick Heath here from TalkSport. How are you?
Hi, Nick. I'm very well. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Congratulations on selection. What did you make of that midfield area on Saturday as far as what was coming at the Lions?
Say that again. Sorry. The Lions of the South African midfield.
Yeah. What did you make of the Springbok midfield?
Yeah. Look, we played against that midfield in that A-team game, so we had a good idea of what they were going to bring. They were sort of aggressive in their carries and aggressive in their defence, and they are good at what they do. So I expect it'll be much the same this week.
And what about yourself? How do you think you'll slot in with Robbie Henshaw in the Lions midfield? Have you been running much together in training?
Yeah, we've done a fair bit in training, sort of early on in the tour out in Jersey, did a bit, and we've obviously been training together this week. So I think we're a decent partnership, and I'm looking forward to playing with Robbie. He's obviously a quality player himself, and I think we'll really complement each other.
It's a step up from club to country, we hear. Is country to Lions another level?
Yeah, definitely. It's the big thing. The big thing that I've sort of noticed was the sort of the physicality, even in training, the sort of the standards that are set, the accuracy, all that. It's just sort of all those little bits. It's just sort of bumped up that little bit more, and then that sort of reflects in the game as well.
And that intensity for training obviously comes through a competition for places, but this Saturday is an opportunity to win the series, which could allow many other members of the touring party to earn a test cap in the third match. Warren Gatland said if it was a series win, he would make a lot of changes. How about that responsibility and the opportunity you guys could have to give other players in the squad a test cap?
Well, it is just, as you say, it's just a huge opportunity. For me personally, it's my first test. I want to go out there and give the best version of myself, and hopefully I'll perform and hopefully I'll get to play a second test. But look, the focus is purely this first game, and what will be with selection thereafter. That's not my job. My job to pick team next week. I've just got to play well myself, and we've got to play well as a team and get that series win.
And it's obviously a hugely proud moment. Do you know if your family and friends are going to be tuning in together? Where might they be?
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone will be. All my mates back home will be tuning in. My girlfriend and her family will be tuning in at home, and same with my mum. my dad as well. They'll both be watching and cheering me on.
Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Hey Chris, just looking kind of over your career and the journey that's brought you to this point, it's been, you know, a pretty remarkable story. I know there'll be lots of people that, you know, you would thank along the way, but I'd just like to ask specifically about Gregor Townsend and the role that he's played since he called you up in 2017.
Yeah, look, I've got a lot of thanks for Gregor for giving me that first opportunity back in 2017, and yeah, it was a bit of a slower start. I didn't pick up too many caps in that first year, and he still sort of gave me the opportunity. So yeah, look, I'm obviously grateful that he has done that, and it's worked out pretty well for me.
Do you feel as a player, as a style of player, that this is a game that will suit you? This is a game that you will relish being a part of, the physicality, the pressure that's going to be on you guys on Saturday? No,
definitely. Look, I welcome the physical side of the game. The way that South Africa want to play suits me as well. So look, it's as you say, it's a opportunity for me to really show what I'm about and get stuck into them.
Cheers, Chris. Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
Well, you're on mute.
Chris,
hello, pal.
biggest game of your career?
Say that again, sorry?
By far. Biggest game of your career by far?
Yeah. I think that would be a yes.
And how big an influence has it been having Steve and Gregor there? Has that helped at all?
Oh,
do you think it helps your chances of getting in this team this weekend?
Look, I don't know. I'm not in that. I'm not in the selection room. I'd like to think that my playing did the talking. Obviously, Gregor and Steve, they both know me probably better than the other coaches do. So yeah, maybe it has helped my chances. But as I say, I'd like to think it's me as a player that has shown Gats and the other coaches that I do deserve the opportunity.
Final one from me, and I know it's not your concern, but Finn Russell, would be good to get him back for the third test if it all goes to plan.
Oh look, yeah, it'd be brilliant for Finn. I know he's back training and stuff, so he's looking pretty sharp. So yeah, as you say, I'm not picking the team and knowing if Finn's going to be involved, but it would be great for him if he was.
Cheers, thanks, Chris.
Thanks very much, everyone. Thanks, Chris.
Cheers, fella.
Cheers.